August 16th, 1812, Fort Detroit. Inside the wooden walls, 2,500 American soldiers stood armed and ready. They had cannons, they had ammunition, they had the high ground. Outside, 700 British regulars and their indigenous allies waited in the forest. By every measure of military logic, the British should have been slaughtered. But 6 hours later, the American flag came down without a single shot fired. This is the story of the most audacious bluff in military history, and the man who proved that sometimes the deadliest weapon isn't a gun, it's fear. To understand how this happened, we need to go back 5 weeks. June 18th, 1812. The United States declares war on Britain. The reasons are complex: British naval harassment, trade restrictions, and American hunger for Canadian territory. But the strategy is simple: invade Canada while Britain is distracted fighting Napoleon in Europe. The plan focuses on 3 invasion routes. The most critical: the Northwest Territory, modern-day Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. Controlling this region means controlling the fur trade, indigenous alliances, and access to the Great Lakes. And the key to the entire region is Fort Detroit. Fort Detroit isn't just a military garrison, it's a symbol. Whoever holds it controls the frontier. Command falls to Brigadier General William Hull, a 59-year-old Revolutionary War veteran. On paper, he's qualified. In reality, he's about to make the worst decision in American military history. Hull's mission is straightforward: march north, secure Detroit, and then invade Canada. He has 2,500 men, regulars, and militia. He has artillery. He has supplies. On July 12th, he crosses into Canada and occupies the town of Sandwich, just across the river from Detroit. For a moment, it looks like the invasion might actually work. But Hull hesitates. He receives reports, possibly exaggerated, of British reinforcements arriving from the east. He hears rumors of indigenous warriors gathering in the forests. And then comes the news that changes everything. Fort Mackinac, a critical American outpost in northern Michigan, has fallen to the British. Hull panics. Across the river, a very different kind of commander is preparing his response. Major General Isaac Brock, 41 years old, bold, aggressive, and utterly fearless. Brock has a problem. He has only 300 British regulars, 400 Canadian militia, and about 600 indigenous warriors led by the legendary Shawnee chief Tecumseh. He's outnumbered nearly 2-1. But Brock understands something Hull doesn't. War isn't just about numbers, it's about perception. Tecumseh and Brock form an instant bond. Both are warriors, both understand the value of speed and surprise, and both recognize that Hull is afraid. August 8th, Hull retreats back across the river to Fort Detroit. He tells himself it's a strategic withdrawal. In reality, it's the beginning of the end. Brock immediately goes on the offensive, but not with bullets, with words. Brock drafts a letter to Hull. It's a masterpiece of psychological warfare. He demands Hull's immediate surrender. He warns that once fighting begins, he may not be able to control the indigenous warriors who, in his words, will be beyond restraint. It's a veiled threat: surrender now or face a massacre. Hull knows the stories, the frontier wars, the sieges where garrisons were overrun. Fear takes root. But Brock isn't done. He orders his men to march in circles through the forest, visible from the fort walls, to make his force look larger. He dresses his militia in British regular uniforms. He has Tecumseh's warriors move through the woods in patterns designed to suggest thousands, not hundreds. And then he positions his artillery. August 15th, Brock's cannons open fire, but they're not aiming to destroy, they're aiming to terrify. A cannonball crashes through the officers' quarters, killing 2 men instantly. Inside the fort, Hull unravels. He gathers his officers. Some urge him to fight, others to negotiate. Hull does neither. He freezes. That night, the sound of war drums echoes through the darkness. Brock has Tecumseh's warriors beat drums and chant. Again, designed to sound like thousands. Inside the fort, American soldiers grip their muskets and wait for an assault that never comes. August 16th, 1812, 10:00 a.m. Without consulting his officers, without a vote, without a fight, William Hull surrenders. The gates of Fort Detroit open. Brock marches in with his 700 men. The Americans, over 2,500 strong, lay down their weapons. Not a single shot was fired. Brock later writes in his report, "The capture of Detroit was achieved by intimidation, not force." It's one of the most stunning psychological victories in military history. The fall of Fort Detroit sends shockwaves across America. Hull is court-martialed for cowardice and treason. He's sentenced to death, though President Madison later commutes it. But the damage is done. The entire Northwest Territory falls under British control. Indigenous nations rally to Tecumseh. The American invasion of Canada collapses. For Brock, it's his finest hour. He becomes a national hero. Sadly, he won't live to see the war's end. 2 months later, he's killed leading a charge at the Battle of Queenston Heights. But his legacy lives on. As for Tecumseh, he continues fighting alongside the British until his death in 1813 at the Battle of the Thames. With his death, indigenous resistance in the Northwest effectively ends. The fall of Detroit didn't just change the course of the War of 1812. It proves something generals have known for millennia. The greatest victories aren't always won on the battlefield. Sometimes they're won in the mind. Today, Fort Detroit is gone, demolished in the 1820s, but its story remains. It's taught in military academies as a case study in psychological warfare. It's a reminder that leadership under pressure is everything. That fear can be as deadly as any weapon, and that sometimes the most dangerous thing a commander can do is nothing at all. Isaac Brock understood what William Hull forgot. War is chaos, and in chaos, the side that controls the narrative controls the outcome. This is the battle that was won without firing a single shot, and it changed history. Today, a Fort Detroit is gone, demolished in the 1820s, but its story remains. It's taught in military academies as a case study in psychological warfare. It's a reminder that leadership under pressure is everything, that fear can be as deadly as any weapon, and that sometimes the most dangerous thing a commander can do is nothing at all. Isaac Brock understood what William Hull forgot. War is chaos, and in chaos, the side that controls the narrative controls the outcome. This is the battle that was won without firing a single shot, and it changed history. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, hit that like button. It helps us bring you more incredible military history. Share this video with anyone who loves untold stories of strategy and deception. And if you want to dive deeper into the battles, tactics, and legends that shaped our world, subscribe and turn on notifications. We've got more stories like this coming your way. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.